What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with Harold. Not Harold. Oh god, no, this is not Harold. I'm coming at you guys with Hyperion. That's right. The master of the solar system. Master Hyperion. And the agents who follow under him. This is definitely going to be one of my favorites because I have a history with the agents and the Lost Sanctuary structure deck as well. So you guys don't remember, Lost Sanctuary came out back in 2011. I won't say May of 2011 because I don't have a particular date here in the TCG. And the ideal of this deck is that it introduced not only reprints of many of the agent authors, but it also introduced us to their new boss monster, Master Hyperion. And for a while, agents were definitely taking over the format and competing with Tengu plants, which definitely surfaced around that time, taking the old quick draw plant and evolving it even further. Not to mention, we were going through a mechanic change at that time as Exceed monsters were coming into it, thanks to the Exceed Beyond structure that came out that same year. And then Photon, Shockwave, and Generation Force coming out as well. So we had a lot of really good stuff coming out that year to support the introduction of Exceeds. We had some legal structure decks because we didn't just have Hyperion in them. We didn't just have agents. We also had Dark World, and I think Dark World gave agents one of their biggest competitions. It was just never really pushed as strong as it wanted to be because there was a lot of issues that also circulated with Dark World, which sucks because Dark World had a lot of good plays to it. Dark World now is kind of just rogue. It's had its own issues, but that's for a different video. Anyway, we're here to talk about Hyperion. We're here to have fun with Hyperion, and we're here to go down through memory lane with Hyperion. So this version of Hyperion in Friends is Chaos variant, so Chaos agents, if you will. And we're gonna go through it with the monsters. We're going to start off with 3 copies of Master Hyperion. Then we're going to go with 3 copies of the Agent of Earth. Then we have 2 copies of the Agent of Miracles, Jupiter, with 3 copies of the Agent of Creation, Venus. Venus is, of course, never by herself when we have her Mystic Shine Balls. Then we have 2 copies of Archlord Christia and 1 copy of Honest. Sorry for the glare, that's just the thing that happens. I have been trying to work out how to get rid of this glare, but it's just having problems. Anyway, those are the lights, but now we gotta enter the chaos. And of course, at that time, there was only one major chaos monster that came out, got unbanned, and that was Blackluster Soldier, the Envoy of the Beginning, which I'm running 1 copy of, followed by a successor to him, Chaos Sorcerer, which I'm running 1 copy of. Then I'm running 2 copies of the adorable Tour Guide from the Underworld, 1 copy of Sangan, 1 copy of Genex Ally Birdman, with 2 copies of Tragodia. So those are all my darks. Then for all of my non-light and dark monsters. Actually, no, that's not true because I have 2 more light monsters coming up. That's in the forms of Effect Veiler and, of course, everyone's favorite insect, Maxi. So, from there, that is all of my monsters. I know, a large sum of them. And then we're going to move on to the spells. We're 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. One of my favorite little gimmicks, the White Elephant's Gift. 1 copy of Heavy Storm, 1 copy of the Dark Hole, and 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Then for the trap cards, the only set of trap cards that I've ran in this deck is 3 copies of Royal Decree. Then, from there, we go on into our extra deck. And we'll start off with the Exceeds. We got our boys, 2 copies of Gachi Gachi Gentetsu. We got 1 copy of Leviair the Sea Dragon, 1 copy of Wind Up Zen Mains, 1 copy of number 17 Leviathan Dragon, and 1 copy of Giga Brilliant, number 20. Then, from there, we have all this Synchro monsters, 1 copy of TG Hyper Liberian, 1 copy of the Ally of Justice Catastor, 1 copy of Bryanak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, or Bryanak, whichever one you want to call him, Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth, Ancient Fairy Dragon, scoot this over just a bit for the Black Rose Dragon, Stardust Dragon, Scrap Dragon, and Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barriers. So that is one in all a total of 15 cards in my extra, with a total of 40 cards in my main. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that is my Chaos Agents. Now, let me go over all of this for you guys so you guys can understand exactly which pieces of which I am running and corresponding with. So, starting off is Master Hyperion himself. So, this level 8 Light Attribute Fairy type monster is the boss monster of the deck. While I could easily say BLS is the second. Master Hyperion basically banishes an agent monster from your hand, field, or graveyard to special summon itself. Once a turn, he can target any card on the field and destroy it by banishing a light fairy from your graveyard. Now, if you want to, well, if you run Sanctuary of the Sky, you're able to do this effect again. This version does not run Sanctuary Sky, and it's funny because later on in the game, we did get more support for not only Master Hyperion, who has now a dark version of himself in a synchro, but we also did get a good array of things to just overall support the agents. Like, this is honestly one of my favorite breakthroughs with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of the fact that the agent just really had a good repertoire of things coming out of Lost Sanctuary, which was they had a boss monster, they had a ton of cards to support them, tons of reprints. Christia got reprinted later on that year with Dark some more for the collectible tins. So if you wanted to run agents, you really had a good way of running agents and had all the support you needed, because they took Christia out of the deck, and I think they put either Athena or Tethys in it. I think it was Athena. And people were like, well, what are we going to do about Christia? And then it got announced Christia was coming out later on that year. So people did, later on in the summer. So you didn't have to worry too much about the lineup. You're pretty much good. And Hyperion definitely was a 3-of, because you have so many of the agents that you can usually run. You have so many different targets for setup. You're basically good with Master Hyperion. You can even run trading if you wanted to, just to feel a little fancy. For some draw power. Now we go on to each of the agents themselves. We have the Agent of Mystery, the Agent of Miracles, and the Agent of Creation. We'll start off with the Agent of Mystery, as Earth is your tuner out of the agents. One of many that comes out throughout the years, but for the most part, Earth is on normal summon. Search your deck for an agent monster and add it to your hand. If you have if the field cell, if any card on the field was if any card with Sanctuary of the Sky and its name is on the field, then correction. While the Sanctuary of the Sky is face up on the field, you're able to add a Master Hyperion to your hand instead. This is just a good blowout to things, as you're able to go and get a Master Hyperion. Hold on for one little second. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, yes, let's talk about these agents some more. So, Earth is your tuner and able to search for your Master Hyperion or any of your agents. In order to search for Hyperion, you have to have a card on the field that is Sanctuary of the Sky. Like I said, with Hyperion, there are a lot of cards that did become Sanctuary of the Sky later on in the game. But, I mean, you could run the Sanctuary of the Sky, but that's your choice. But I chose not to run it. I'm just sticking out with a basic straight lineup of monsters, spells, and traps. Jupiter is the next monster up, and Jupiter also has a secondary ability while a card with Sanctuary Sky is in play, where its first effect is you manage any light fairy monster in your graveyard to you banish one agent monster in your graveyard to then target one light fairy monster on the field and raise its attack by 800. If you have Sanctuary Sky in play, you can then special summon one light fairy monster that's been banished to the field. And that's even a good play there, because, like I said, there are cards now that are treated as Sanctuary of the Sky. You can banish an agent, go get a Sanctuary monster, and then set up there. Too bad Master Hyperion does not have the text that says this card is treated as an agent, because that would be busted and you'd be able to special summon Master Hyperion. Actually, no, you can't summon Master Hyperion because it's a light fairy. But yeah, discard a light fairy. Yeah, discard a fairy type monster to then target a banished fairy and then special summon to the board. Yeah, no, still broken, because you can just get any light fairy. You can get any light fairy, as long as it's able to be special summoned. And then Venus, whose only real purpose here is to summon, of course, her Mystic Shine Balls. I love Venus. Venus has always been a really good staple in decks, especially when Link Mechanic came out. And people were using Venus to summon her Mystic Shine Balls, and then using the Mystic Shine Balls as materials for link summoning, as well as various other summonings to just play around with. We gotta love Vivi, because Vivi really did, stick to her word. And her word was summoning her Mystic Shine Balls. Remember, Venus did get a retrain in the Agent of Destruction Venus, where she's able to special summon those Shine Balls that were banished, and then when they leave the field, they go back into the deck. So it's a good correlation of things, I have to honestly say. Alright, now, we've gotten over these three agents who are... You don't really have to run Jupiter, but I run Jupiter. You can run any variation of the agents that you want, but the primary ones that you do run are Venus and Earth. Alright, moving on from there, we have the copies of Archlord Christia. Christia is basically here to play your anti-social summon with your opponent. You can special summon her by having exactly 4 fairy-type monsters. I think it's 4 light fairy-type monsters, if I'm not mistaken. No, just 4 fairy-type monsters in your graveyard. And then being able to retrieve 1. Most likely, you're trying to retrieve Honest, which I believe Honest at that time was at 1. Some people in the comment section correct me if I'm wrong, but during Tengu Plants was Honest at 1 or 2. I think Honest was at 2, but I think the list might have came in to change that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Honest was still a thing. Honest was around. And Honest definitely did give a lot of decks that were not light trouble, because light and dark, well, light for the most part had the ability to deal with, monsters swinging at them during the battle phase, because they had Honest. Black Wings were the only exception to this rule, because they had their own counter and everybody's favorite, Kalut the Moonshadow. So while Honest stayed at 2, I believe Kalut was also at 2 to try to balance out everything in that way, and then just take advantage of what was already there without having to do so much of it. So yeah, those are 2 of those, and then we're going to just move on into Blackluster Soldier, the Envoy of the Beginning, and Chaos Sorcerer. So these two iconic monsters from Invasion of Chaos. Not only did they make a good staple for this deck, but they did take a good heed of supporting things, especially BLS, who had recently came off the Forbidden Limited list at that time. And because of that, BLS was definitely a powerhouse card. So give me just 1 second and I will be right back once again. Okay, I am back. So, back to the Chaos Monsters. So, Chaos Sorcerer, BLS, both amazing monsters you can use in this deck. BLS, who just came off the Forbidden Limited list, everyone was shocked. Fit very well in Chaos, because Chaos decks, of course, because why? Legendary Chaos Monster. Banish your light, banish your dark. Here's a monster that can do 1 of 2 things. Banish a monster that's on the field, but can't attack that turn, or can attack that turn, destroy a monster, and then swing again, destroy another monster. Alongside of him was Chaos Sorcerer, who can come to the field by also banishing light and dark, and then being able to banish a face-up monster. While it is a more nerfed ability than BLS, Chaos Source was basically just an easy monster to play around with. And for a long period of time was the optimal for Chaos decks till BLS was unbanned. It's still, honestly, it's funny though, because we talk about both of these monsters, but they were both so iconic for the timing that they came out, and even still dominated a more newer format. Once they became unbanned, it was crazy, to the point that they waited longer for unbanning Chaos Emperor Dragon and had to give Chaos Emperor Dragon a whole errata. So yeah, you can imagine there. Alright, moving on from those, we do have Torgai from the Underworld and her BFF, Sangan. So, these 2 monsters were part of the crazy shenanigans that happened with Exceed monsters. For those who don't know, back between the first few weeks Exceeds came out, there was a ruling issued in TCG about how Exceeds were supposed to be ruled, where the material were counted as part of the monster, that counted as being on the field, but couldn't be targeted by other card effects. It's so weird. It was so stupid. But it skyrocketed Torgai to a $200 card. And she was basically needed for almost every deck in the game that wanted to use Exceeds, because rank 3 Exceeds and rank 4 Exceeds were very, very useful. And very, very amazing ones at that. Probably the most easiest ones to get to, too. The thing about Tour Guide is she can bring any Fiend type monster that's level 3 from your deck to the field, but its effects are negated and cannot be used for a synchro summon. So that prompted you into Exceed summons, where Sangan over here was definitely one of her biggest targets. Now, at a point in time, you can either just go ahead, go get Sangan, and then set on cards like Crush Card Virus, and send Sangan to the graveyard. By the way, Crush Card I think was eroded at that time, so you couldn't abuse it like we could before. But even still, Sangan was just an easy target for things to handle. You can even run Sangan into things and have Sangan trigger off and go to the graveyard. Or in this deck's case, you can use materials for it to basically conduct your light and dark monsters and be able to summon some of your chaos cards. Now, at that point in time, before the ruling was changed to be official that the monsters were not treated as being on the field while they exceed material, Sangan was still able to search for your monsters off of its own effect. But thankfully they changed that so it wouldn't get out of hand, and even then so, it was in the card. Now some of you are probably asking, why do I only have two tour guides? That's because I only have two tour guides. I thought I had a third one, but I don't. And I definitely need to get me a third one just so I can complete the set. So, alright, that is it for Sangan and Tour Guide. We move on to Gents Ally Birdman, who was just who was a great utility in terms of another dark attributed monster, but also the fact that it was a tuner. So you could use Gents Ally's effect with Miss Venus, summon the mystical shine balls, bounce the shine ball back, and then play the Birdman, and then activate Venus's effect again to then play another shine ball. That opens you up to not only rank 3 exceeds, but that also opens you up to synchro monsters like Trishula, synchro monsters like level 8, level 7s. You have a range galore of things that you can easily do with access to a card like Gents Ally Birdman. It may only be one, but if you wanted to, you can run multiples of it and still kick around. Another thing you can also kick around with was Tragodia. I don't have Gores. Gores was also an option that you could run at the time too. But with Trag can manipulate level. Trag can send cards to take control of monsters of the same level. And Synchro and Exceeding were definitely fun thanks to Tragodia, who was technically one of your many battle traps one of your hand traps that you can easily run. Next to that are Maxi and Effect Veiler, and I'm just going to say this now at the point in time in which these cards are used. I don't think too many people use them only because of the fact that after events happening earlier in 2011, sparked some hype in using Maxi. Maxi started to then become used in almost every deck, and most of the main things that you were getting were cards to set up your deck, and then Effect Veiler to shut down opponents' monsters. Now, while we're trying to make sure that this video is not too long as it is, I'm going to rush through the spells and traps because these are just simple things. MST, back row removal. White Elephant's Gift adds some draw power. You don't have to run it. It was just one of my ideas. You can run Pot of Avarice, which I believe was still in the game at that point in time, just to conjunct with that. Heavy Storm for some more back row removal, monster removal in the forms of Dark Hole, and everyone's favorite, Monster Reborn, to play as an extender. From there, we have my only trap in the deck, and that is Royal Decree. Royal Decree is basically here to play as a safeguard because, well, as you can see, I'm not running too many traps. You can side in a lot of trap cards like, Trap Death Shoot and Mind Crush if you needed to, Deep Prison, Mirror Force if you were that afraid of things, or even Dust Tornado and stuff to deal with decks that dealt with heavy back row or wanted to stall out. Your chances and options vary. So, from there, that is it for the main deck, which is a total of 40. Now we move on into our extra. So we start off with probably one of the most utilized of the Exceed monsters starting off in the Exceed era, Gachi Gentetsu, who, while it has this material, while face up on the field and it would be destroyed, you can just fetch material from it. And while it has material, all your monsters on the field will gain 200 attack for each material it has. So while it's one of those rare occasions where you wish you had an ability to absorb monsters, that came later on in the series of Yu-Gi-Oh! With Exceeds. But this is a really good start for it because, well, this is a deck that definitely took advantage of it. You had the abilities of your Venus to summon your Mystic Shine Balls. You could use, Dark Factor of Mass Production to just recycle the Shine Balls, then use Venus's effect or another copy of the Venus to summon more of them, and then just make more Gachis and just have a wall of Gachis that could not be destroyed because you could easily just, send a material from it. You'll lose 200 attack defense, that's perfectly fine because you still have a giant wall of monster that can do something. Leviator the Sea Dragon, because now we're going into some really good Exceed monsters. Pulling monsters from your banish onto the board. And actually, at around that time, they even changed the tactic of the name from remove from play to banish. Which also shortened out a lot of things as well, which was awesome. Then we have Wind Up Enemies, another really good rank 3. If this card were to be destroyed, you can attach a material, and at the end of the turn, you can destroy a card on the field. Then we have Leviathan Dragon detached to just become a 2500 attacker. If it had no material, it can attack directly, but for the most part, you're just using this thing as just a poking stick. Giga Brilliant the Giga Ant, a combination between this and Gachi Tetsu, can give all your monsters in the field at least 900 attack and defense, but also the fact that while it will lose material for it, that's perfectly fine. It was also a nice light target for BLS. TG Hyper Hyperion, actually we're going to move the Exceeds out of the way so we can go into the Synchros, which is just a pool of some of your most iconic ones. TG Hyper Hyperion, who drew cards for you every time you Synchro Summon. Ally Justice Catastor to play around with anti-light and Provius of that. Well, anti-dark and Provius of things there. Bryanak to bounce cards on the field. Gaia to be another Exceed target. You can run Oriental Dragon, but I don't own any Oriental Dragons. Ancient Fairy Dragon to pop field spells, because those were becoming more popular at the time, thanks to decks like Dark World. Black Rose Dragon to nuke the field. Stardust Dragon to protect things. Scott Dragon to blow up stuff if needed. And Trishula to just screw up the graveyard, the hand, and what was on your opponent's side of the field. Like I said with, what was that monster's name? Gents Ally Birdman. Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier definitely wasn't easy to go to thanks to Gents Ally, especially in this deck. The other card that I don't have is Ally of Justice Decisive Armor. And I thought I had a Decisive Armor, and if I don't, I kind of feel bad. Ally of Justice Decisive Armor was a really good Synchro monster to have with a deck like this, because it was very anti-light and definitely helped with mirror matches. So if that's ever a thing, do pick that up, because that is a very amazing card to have. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very long deck profile, but this is a very good deck and deserves that long timing period. So that is it for my Chaos Agent deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll do another variation of Agents, but give it some time, I probably will. But I did enjoy it. I hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys like what you see, definitely leave a like, of course, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because it helps me out tremendously. Hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content, such as my retro deck profiles, and you can hit the social media links in the description box below. Thanks everybody for watching, and HPJ signing out. Take care.